So welcome to this webinar by the project Policy Answers that we co-organized this particular one out of a series with the colleagues from the EU strategy for the Danube region, the Priority Area 7, focusing on knowledge society. Today's webinar is focusing on the smart specialization strategies in the enlargement countries. We have quite distinguished 4 speakers, quite a lot. We are starting with Emanuele Fabri from the European Commission Joint Research Center. And we then have 3 presentations connected to each other, which give another perspective and which come from the colleagues who did several studies in the framework of the EU strategy for the Danube region. Viktor Nedovic, Lazar Živkovic, and Diana Strubat are going to join us here. They are exploring the smart specialization strategies in the whole enlargement region. And I would like to highlight from our side as Policy Answers that everyone here is really kindly and warmly welcome to also suggest interesting topics for the webinars or for our other communication instruments like the website, the Western Balkans Info Hub, or our social media. We are very open to collaborate with all of you and follow up on different suggestions. And also you're invited to join our networking platform on this B2Match URL. This is, as I mentioned, a series of webinars. We already had 9 of them. This is our 10th edition. They all center around different areas of aligning of priorities and coordination through partnerships, through missions, and through other instruments, as well as such as the smart specialization strategies. So without further ado, I would want to start this webinar and invite our first speaker. So, Emanuele, the floor is yours. Oops. We should...
Good afternoon. I'm trying to share my presentation. Okay. Now it is. Can you see it?
I think not. Yes, here it is. Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thanks. Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, thanks for the invitation. And today I will talk about the smart specialization strategy in the EU enlargement countries. And more precisely, I will try to, let's say, address topics related to the role of smart specialization in the EU accession process, the state of play of smart specialization in the enlargement economies, and the support provided by the JRC in the S3 processes. And first of all, I would like to give some contextual information for those who are not familiar with these topics. First of all, smart specialization is an economic concept, first of all, and is the capacity of an economic system to develop, to generate new specialties through 2 things. The first one is a process of discovery of new domains, new opportunity, new windows of opportunities. And second, the local concentration and agglomeration of resources in those specific domains. And smart specialization is not only an economic concept, is also a policy instrument, and is a key policy instrument in several, let's say, policy framework. One of these is the EU accession policies, and smart specialization represents a key pillar in the EU accession process, and is monitored in one of the chapters of the screening process. And third, the JRC actually provides the EU enlargement economies with analytical assistance and practical guidance in the, let's say, adoption of smart specialization processes and more precisely has developed two frameworks, one for the design and the other for the implementation of smart specialization processes. And those frameworks are adopted on a voluntary basis by EU enlargement countries. Before I spoke about the screening process is the first step of the accession negotiation, is the analytical examination of the acquis, and the screening process is conducted jointly by European Commission and candidate countries. It regards 33 plus 2 chapters. Those chapters are organized, grouped in clusters for the coherent and efficient and effective discussion. And one of these chapters, chapter 25, is concerns science and research and relates to the existence of all necessary conditions for effective participation in the EU's framework programs. Smart specialization is a key requirement in many R&D framework programs, not only Horizon, also in structural funds, also in other, let's say, knowledge-based related programs, and that's why actually is also part of this chapter. As I mentioned before, the JRC provides support to the EU enlargement countries with these several, let's say, instruments. The main ones are the S3 design framework and the S3 implementation framework. Now, there's no time to go much in details, but for your better understanding, just know that the first one, the S3 design framework, is articulated in 7 steps. And actually, the framework identifies, let's say, a stage gate process that it can be implemented through a roadmap. It means that the output of each stage represent an input for the following one. On the contrary, the S3 implementation framework is based in 4, let's say, pillars, 4 building blocks, and on the contrary, compared to the design framework, actually, there's not, let's say, a linear sequence of tasks to be implemented, but all, let's say, main ingredients must be, let's say, put in place in practice since the very beginning. So all ingredients are needed since the very beginning. And this is our geographical scope, and the JRC supports countries belong to the enlargement region, but also the neighborhood region. And let's say this is the state of play concerning the advancement of each economy in the S3 design framework. In the upper part of the slide, you can see the 7 steps of the framework, starting with the institutional capacity building, then the mapping, then the stakeholder dialogue, until the preparation of the strategy. And below, you can see the positioning of each economy. And in this slide, this slide is more focused on the economies that are targeted by the webinar of today. And you can see 5 economies that have already officially adopted the strategy and are already in the implementation phase: Montenegro, Serbia, North Macedonia, Albania, and Moldova. Then Kosovo is currently finalizing the process, has already written draft version, sent it to JRC. JRC has sent the informal feedback, and they are finalizing the process of preparation of the strategy. Then Bosnia and Herzegovina has finalized the analytical activities linked to mapping, but let's say the final decision on the preliminary priorities to be further investigated in the stakeholder dialogue phase hasn't been decided yet. And last but not least, Ukraine, of course, a different reflection on Ukraine is needed. Actually, Ukraine committed to smart specialization very early into 2017. And actually, they started designing smart specialization at regional level, and all regions were committed. 7 of them were actually preparing the EDP, the stakeholder dialogue phase. And when, of course, the full-scale war actually stopped everything, and of course also the S3 design process. Anyway, the national authorities in charge for smart specialization are still have been always greatly interested and committed to resume the activities, and also recently we have had some contacts with them, and they are oriented to resume the activity as soon as possible, but possibly in 2020 and 2025. This slide represents the way the S3 process has been developed across the region over the time. And as I said, the commitment of the enlargement economy to smart specialization started in 2016, and by 2018 almost all of them were actually committed to the S3 design process. The implementation of the process varies. You can see the implementation of the process is very diverse in the region, varies a lot across the region, and apart, let's say, Serbia and Montenegro that successfully completed the S3 design process quite quickly. For the rest of the economies, I mean, the process has required quite a long time, even if it's worth noting that in the last few years the economy has demonstrated a strong advancement. And given the advancement in the last few years, we thought that a deeper insight was needed on the main issues encountered by the economies in the implementation of the S3 design framework, and along with the main challenges, of course, and opportunities. In particular, a former colleague, Nikola Radovanovic, an external expert, Domen Bol, have conducted a study and targeting, let's say, the implementation of the S3 design framework, and aiming to, let's say, mapping the progress of in each country, analyzing the processes, and detecting the main opportunities and challenges, and in the end, of course, drafting some lessons learned. And in a nutshell, very quickly, some results. And the process has been the adoption of S3 processes in the region have been very often very lengthy. The design process in particular has been very lengthy, as we said, and the average time for completing the process is of 52 months. Is really long. The most lengthy step, the most demanding step, have been those one of stakeholder dialogue and mapping, while the shortest one is the strategic mandate analysis that actually refers to a better understanding of the role of smart specialization within the national programming activities. Let's say the overall distribution of the cells, the color, the cells shows the variety in terms of duration of each step and of each economy, let's say, in each economy. And let's say there are no common patterns in the duration of each step, meaning that the factors actually hampering the process are very often country specific, but there are some lessons learned, there are some similarities, and the main similarities are linked to the fact that S3 process have been lengthy, but the pauses are very, let's say, the length of the process has been due to the breaks and the pauses between stages. And it's very important in this regard to develop a tailored and precise action plan. In this regard, planning matters, and it's very important to design an action plan since the very beginning. The most important factor affecting fluidity is the lack of knowledge and experience, and it's important to, let's say, appoint adequate human resources since the very beginning. EDP is the most challenging and demanding step, but it's also the main source of benefit. in this regard, it's important to promote S3 results in order to raise awareness, and it's important to develop a communication strategy, since from the outset, not only external communication strategy, but also an internal communication strategy. And it's important to secure government commitment, because one of the main lessons learned is that economies with the lowest government commitment actually struggle the most. Based on the main lessons learned, we are currently drafting guidelines for S3 implementation, and the main purpose is to provide the enlargement countries with, let's say, operational methods, tools, processes, also templates. Basically, what we are doing, starting from the framework, implementation framework, actually we are, the activities in place aims at identifying the key enabling factors, the main recommendation, the main tools, and let's say, and smart solutions, and of course identifying the key success factors. A quick update also on some current analysis. At the moment, we are focusing a lot on the outward-looking dimension of smart specialization. We are investigating the participation of the Western Balkans economies in relevant R&D programs, and we are interested in the networking partners in understanding if there is an alignment or misalignment between the participation in R&D program, Horizon Europe and Horizon 2020, and the smart specialization priority being identified. The same exercise is conducted in interregional cooperation program. So we are interested in the participation of the Western Balkans in Interreg Europe, but also cross-border cooperation programs. And last but not least, we are investigating the flows of foreign direct investment. We are interested in business partnerships, and we are interested in understanding the positioning of the Western Balkans in global value chains. We believe that these three levels of let's say, interregional international partnership, R&D collaboration, knowledge-based interregional cooperation, and, let's say, foreign direct investment can shed a light on, let's say, the attractiveness and the potential for interregional collaboration, and also provide additional insight on the benefits coming from collaboration, not only in the EU enlargement region, but also for EU member states. Some final remarks, and why smart specialization matters. What are the main challenges and opportunities? What comes next? Why it matters? We are living in a context of increasing uncertainty and complexity, and we believe that a place-based response is needed, and smart specialization can contribute in that regard. The stakeholder dialogue, the mapping, the evidence-based approach, the mapping activity can contribute to provide sound response to complexity and uncertainty. In current times, we are facing also challenges linked to transitions, and smart specialization can contribute a lot to introduce the transformational perspective into decision-making, into policy making and decision-making processes. And with regards to challenges and opportunities, one of the main challenges is to combine commitment and consistencies. Very often we have commitment, but it's not consistent. And consistency is needed in order to secure interministerial coordination and the allocation of adequate resources. We see a huge potential for mutual learning and interregional partnership, knowledge-based interregional partnership, and we believe that smart specialization as a common paradigm adopted by economies in the region can contribute to foster these opportunities. And what comes next? In our view, a better integration into the national programming activity, first of all, the reform agendas, but not only, a better integration of smart specialization in the common regional markets and also in European single market and European research area. At the moment, we are discussing a lot about competitiveness. The European Commission has adopted the competitiveness compass in January. Smart specialization is a lot about competitiveness, and it's interesting to understand how smart specialization can actually address those drivers identifying the competitiveness compass, meaning the innovation gap, energy and decarbonization, and also strategic autonomy and security. And this challenge is, let's say, significant not only for EU enlargement countries, but also EU member states. All our analysis, data, and templates, guidelines, tools are available in the S3 Knowledge app. There is the repository specifically dedicated to smart specialization in the EU enlargement and neighborhood region, and I strongly encourage you to have a look at it, a deeper insight at it. That's all from my side. Thanks for listening.
Oh, thank you for this dense presentation. If there is no immediate burning question that would be just for clarification, I would want to have the open discussion at the end after the next set of presentations. And there was no question in the chat. I just checked. So I think I can proceed by inviting our colleagues from Serbia. And the first one to speak would be Viktor Nedovic.
Thank you very much, Elke. It's mine, but also our great pleasure to be today together here with all different participants. They took a part to this interesting event, webinar. My great pleasure from different sides, as this time we are representing on the way Priority Area 7 of the Danube strategy in this presentation that is very much connected with all relevant activities that are happening also in the Western Balkans concerning the smart specialization, as we have a particular working group in Priority Area 7 of European strategy for the Danube region that is relevant, and it is working on development implementation issues of smart specialization strategy in the different regions of the Danube, but also as Western Balkan Info Hub, powered by a Policy Answer project, is one of our flagship projects of Priority Area 7 in the scope of the Danube strategy, and it is another reason to really with great pleasure take a part to this event today. I would like also to mention that Priority Area 7 called, sorry, Lazar would like to say something. Okay, Priority Area 7 is Priority Area 7 titled North Society is co-coordinated by two sides, by two countries. It is Slovakia and Serbia, and I would like also to pass best regards to our Slovakian colleagues who did a lot of effort in different aspects of our activities in Danube region. Okay, to do not be long at the beginning, we split our presentation in three different parts, and the first one will be related to the potential of the regional cooperation based on the shared priorities that will be presented by Lazar, then somewhat of the opportunities in the region by myself, and finally some of the RDI key achievements also related to smart specialization by Diana. But this moment I would like to ask Lazar to take the floor or to take the screen. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Victor, for the introduction. I had some technical issues, but I hope that everything will be fine now. In this presentation, we will share some thoughts on the common smart specialization priorities across the region, and how these shared priorities can lead to stronger cooperation between countries. Just move to the next slide. So let's start with the bigger picture. We are seeing that many countries in the region are choosing similar priorities in the smart specialization strategies, which are a great opportunity for the region, actually, since that when neighbors focus on the same sectors, it becomes easier to work together, whether in research, innovation, value chains, infrastructure, or any other way. By combining resources and knowledge, we can reach a bigger scale, avoid repeating, tackle common challenges, which are very common in the region. And what is also very important for the region, that this kind of cooperation can help us be more visible and competitive, not just in the region, but also in European and global networks. Next slide. To see where cooperation can actually happen, we looked at the most common smart specialization priorities across the Western Balkans and Moldova. For those economies that don't have yet a fully approved S3 strategy, we relied on the preliminary priority areas identified through quantitative and qualitative analysis. And as you can see from this graph, two areas clearly stand out. One is information and communication technologies, and the second one is agri-food processing and bioeconomy. All 7 economies identified these as key priorities, which makes them great starting point for joint initiatives, especially since they are also aligned with EU policies such as Green Deal and the Digital Europe. Other common areas include advanced manufacturing, green energy, and sustainable tourism. Not every country has the exact same focus, but these areas also show strong potential for collaboration and joint projects. Let's now move to the next slide. So let's now take a closer look at ICT. One of the region's strengths is the presence of active ICT clusters. They are already supporting business development in their own countries, but the next step is to connect these clusters across borders. So stronger regional networks would make it easier to launch joint innovation projects, scale startups, and also to build shared value chains, especially in the digital sector. Also recognizing this potential, Emanuele spoke about that. JRC recently published a dedicated study on ICT collaboration in the Western Balkans within the smart specialization framework. The study not only confirms the importance of this priority, but also provides practical recommendations for taking cooperation forward related to this area. Speaking about joint initiatives in the region, we are already seeing good examples in practice. One of such is Western Balkan Startup Alliance. This is a bottom-up initiative that brings together startups, innovators, tech parks, startup support organizations, and entrepreneurs from across the region. What's especially important is that it was initiated by actors from the region, showing a strong sense of commitment by them. So the alliance, they are running joint events, mentoring, help startups from the region to connect to funding. This initiative and similar has a real potential to grow into a strategic platform that supports smart specialization and digital development more broadly. And that's why it's essential that governments recognize and support this kind of initiatives so that they are treated as a part of national and regional innovation strategies. Also, I want to mention another important development is the establishment of digital innovation hubs in the region under the Digital Europe program. It happened recently, last year actually. These hubs are currently national consortia, often led by universities, science parks, business support organizations, and their role is to support SMEs and public institutions in adopting digital technologies. While they currently operate at the national level, there is a huge value in building connections between digital innovation hubs across the region for knowledge sharing, joint services, and cross-border support that aligns with our smart specialization goals, and actually this as a shared priority. Could we move to the next slide? Also, another important way to support innovation in the Western Balkans is by working together on research infrastructure. This means not only planning at the national level, but also thinking about how we can share what we already have across the region, from labs, data centers, testing facilities, and other equipment. This actually helps us use resources more efficiently. It helps us to share access that leads to better research quality and excellence. And what is also very important, when countries come together around joint infrastructure projects, it becomes much more attractive for EU funding, whether through Horizon Europe or instruments like the European Research Infrastructure Consortia, ERICS, or other. So investing in regional collaboration on research infrastructure is a pathway to more funding and stronger science, more connected innovation systems in the Western Balkans. And if we move to the next slide, we will see that we are not starting from scratch. Several important policy steps have already been taken to support regional cooperation in research infrastructure. One key milestone is the Western Balkans Research and Innovation Infrastructure Roadmap that was commissioned and published by Regional Cooperation Council. This document gives us a strategic vision. It maps out key. Sorry, just I had some. Okay. Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you again.
Yes.
Okay. I had some technical issues here. This regional Western Balkans Research and Innovation Infrastructure Roadmap actually maps out what capacities already exist in the region, where the gaps are, and what we need to do next. Also, I want to mention that the second important step is the protocol on open access to research infrastructure that was signed 4 years ago. It's a clear commitment by governments in the region to open their facilities to researchers from neighboring economies, and this is also a very strong signal that cooperation is not just encouraged but also becoming a policy goal. However, but to really make this work, we need to help researchers move, especially young researchers, move between countries to access the best labs, equipment, expertise. And that's why mobility schemes are so important, from cross-border PhD programs, research fellowships, industry academia exchange programs, and others. And I also want to mention that the good thing is that we already have some pilot initiatives underway within Policy Answers project. Mobility schemes and innovation voucher programs are being tested actually right now, and these are great examples of how things can work in practice, and what is more important, they should become a model for scaling up in the future. So that's all from me from my side. So now I will pass the floor to Victor to continue.
Victor, you're still muted.
Thank you, Lazar. Sorry for this. As Lazar already pointed out, the importance of the big infrastructure and mobility, I would like to focus more now on agri-food and bioeconomy field, and as this shared field of many of the economies in the region is on the top of the list, actually. In the case of Western Balkans, it is, if I'm not mistaken, the second position. In the case of the Danube region, it is on the third one. But if we recently prepared, Lazar actually is doing that one study that will be published soon, where it will be actually presented by specific numbers, indicators, and so on. In any case, it is for both regions, it is one of the mostly shared areas of that we can really together do much more than independently. Yes, all Western Balkans economies have identified agriculture, food processing, and even bioeconomy, and this reflects both the regional stronger agrarian roots and increasing shift towards that is so important value-added production, food innovation, and agro-technologies. In addition to that, the bioeconomy offers a natural extension linking agriculture with biotechnology, sustainability, and circular economy principles. And now about a very recent and notable example that is still in the stage of the building, but as one of the top priority in Serbia, and also the part of the action plan of our smart specialization strategy. It is Bio4 Campus, a major research and innovation infrastructure focused on biomedicine, biotechnology, bioinformatics, and biodiversity. And this is 4B, that the part of the title of the name of the campus. And it has strong potential to serve as a regional hub of bioeconomy. We call it future European or international bioeconomy hub that should be driven by innovation. And soon we will proceed with one regional event that will be organized here in Belgrade for just to exchange the views how we can use jointly this important future infrastructure that will be based here in Belgrade. Next slide, please. How it should look like, you see here. The most important fact is that we are aiming to have a kind of critical mass of, from one side, researchers in different biofields with over 1,000 PhDs and over 4,000. At the moment, we estimate almost 5,000 students with more than 300 labs and research facilities and 8 core center facilities. And it will be a home of multidisciplinary set of tenants, creating an ideal ecosystem for innovation. But to be this, the next one, please. We also have to have here, please, one back. 9 institutes, 9 RDIs, 7 faculties will have the premises there. Then startup park for the major innovation, major ideas to be developed. Convention centers to exchange the views with the industry, but it is also very important. Private RDR departments will be also based inside the park. The next one, please. Yes, how we see it and why we think it is important for the region. Bio4 Campus will be a multidisciplinary RDI complex for the life sciences from one side, from another side, a vibrant concentration of people, knowledge and infrastructure in the field of Bio4. You have the current list, even it is broader now, of the companies that already signed MOUs with the Bio4 here to be the partner in these future developments, and the idea to have a short bridge in between research facilities, people that are doing research in the field of biosciences, and some of the big companies dealing with and based on biosciences. And here, the most of them are actually big pharma companies. But nowadays, the list is much broader and going more that pharma is in the field of food, in the field of agriculture, biotechnology, and so on. This future facility should open the opportunities for cross-border access to infrastructure based on all principles that are already mentioned in the previous presentations, then knowledge exchange and regional mobility programs that also Lazar pointed out in his part is important aspect of this future cooperation. It is from one side just short presentation of the future big infrastructure here in Serbia, but also the invitation to right from this moment to exchange the views and to try to make the networks for the future cooperation. Now I will ask Diana to start with the R&I excellence in the region and present us what we can conclude on that part. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Elke, for hosting us today. Good afternoon, everyone. It is my great pleasure to be here, and thank you for joining us in this very interesting event. So we had the opportunity to hear how actually the S3 priorities can be a very good basis for regional and international cooperation, but we also think that it is important to assess some starting points in this collaboration and to see actually what are some key achievements in the field of research and innovation. Therefore, we have selected several R&I indicators. Since there are time constraints, we have selected only key ones, but we believe that they will be sufficient to highlight the most important results and areas for future cooperation. So the intention was to select all enlargement countries, but as you will see in the next slides, almost for each indicators there are the problems of missing data. So at first we are starting with R&D funding. In this table you can see that gross domestic expenditures on R&D as percentage of GDP in the enlargement countries are significantly lower than in the EU 27 countries. And what is even more concerning is that these numbers are decreasing in some of the enlargement countries. A very similar situation is when it comes to business enterprise expenditures on R&D as percentage of GDP. In the field of human capital involved in research and development activities, in this table you can see numbers of researchers, full-time equivalent per million inhabitants. It is positive that in the observed period from 2013 to 2022, there is an increasing trend in almost all enlargement countries, but still these numbers are not sufficient where compared with developed EU countries. Also, very similar situation in the field of patent applications. We can see that in the enlargement countries, with the exception of Turkey, there is a very low patenting activities, and also which is indicated in a very unfavorable global ranks in this field. Related to the impact of research and development activities, we have selected an indicator high technology expert as a percentage of manufactured experts. And in this chart, you can see that in 2022, these numbers are significantly lower than the EU average. In the field of performance in Horizon Europe, you can see the results in this table. So success rate is between 11 and 19%. These numbers seem sufficient, but still there are countries in the EU, so the member states countries, which have much higher success rates. And it is especially important to note a very low SME participation and a very low number or almost none ERC grants in the Western Balkan economies. So on the basis of these figures, or maybe even some missing figures, we have identified several areas for future collaboration and perhaps our joint projects or initiatives in this field. So at first, in the field of R&I data collection and monitoring, we can see that there is a lack of data for almost every basic R&I indicator, and without the comprehensive data, policymakers cannot make evidence-based decisions or to compare performance with countries in the region or with EU member states. So we could recommend several initiatives in this field, for example, establishing national R&I observatories, harmonization with Eurostat and OECD indicators, or some capacity building programs for the employees in national statistical offices. In the field of R&D investments, we have seen that gross domestic expenditures and the business enterprise expenditures on R&D are very low in enlargement countries compared to the EU average. So it is always difficult to give some recommendations in this field, but we believe that it would be successful to introduce some targeted R&D tax incentives to stimulate private investment, to strengthen public-private partnerships, or to leverage EU funds to boost the public R&D funding. In the field of human capital, we have seen that the numbers of researchers is often insufficient, and that we are all witnessing the brain drain when many skilled professionals are leaving the region and searching for better funded environments. Therefore, as already mentioned, some recommendations could be attractive career programs, strengthening mobility programs in the region and internationally, and also promoting engagement of diaspora in involving them in projects or maybe in some training programs in their home countries. In the field of commercialization and technology transfer, we have seen a lack of patenting activity in the whole region. Therefore, some of the recommendations could include increasing funding for applied R&D and patentable research, providing some subsidized patent application fees, implementing fast-track national patent procedures, or providing financial incentives for international patent applications. Related to R&I impact, we have seen that many enlargement countries have very low levels of high-tech expert, which is indicator of very weak commercialization of research and implementation of R&D results in industry and economy in general. Therefore, some of the initiatives in this field could include strengthening technology transfer offices, supporting spin-off startups and scale-ups in high-tech sectors, and also promoting some export-oriented industrial policies. In terms of Horizon Europe, these success rates are still insufficient, especially when it comes to the roles of project coordinators. Therefore, several policy initiatives could be included in this field. For example, capacity building programs, strengthening national contact points in the region, promoting project leadership, enhancing international networking, and also including some targeted support programs for SMEs and newcomers in the Horizon Europe program. And in the end, in the field of regional and international collaboration, in the field of research innovation, we believe that there is still a lot of space for some joint collaborations and initiatives. So the policy answers and the Western Balkan info hubs are actually very good examples of very successful, meaningful, and continued cooperation between the Western Balkan economies in the field of research and innovation. So some of our recommendations in this field could include establishing regional innovation networks, developing a regional R&I statistics framework, then establishing some joint technology transfer hubs, and also strengthening regional and international R&D partnerships. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions or comments, we remain at your disposal.
I think everyone is super impressed. This is quite a list of recommendations that you brought up. A lot to do to align priorities. As I promised, we are opening the floor. Please raise your hands with the tool and signal if you have a question. Some administrative issues we could already clarify in the chat as well. And Anna, I see here, also thanks and emphasizes the role of innovation clusters, business associations, etc. as these nodes. Branka, you have raised your hand. The floor goes to you.
Hello to everyone. Hello to all friends whom I know from different contexts. Thank you for the presentations. I would like to ask Mr. Fabri first if there are already some economic data about effectiveness of smart specialization, because in general it is quite a new concept. I mean, since 2015 we had practically the first publications, definitions of this concept. So we entered as a region quite early, already in 2019, Montenegro, for example, with a very big speed of implementation. But do you have already some data about its effectiveness in the EU context? And for the region, I guess not, but at least for the EU, maybe. Maybe I don't know, my sound was a bit low. I don't know if you heard my question.
Should I reply? Are we collecting another question, or should I reply immediately to this one? I cannot hear you. You're muted.
I'm so sorry. Yes, I was just saying at the moment I do not have another raised hand. So please answer to this question, and we can see there will be more raised hands in the meantime.
Okay. First of all, you raised a very tricky question. I mean, because in regards to the effectiveness of mass specialization in the region is a bit early, meaning that, well, it depends what you want to measure, because if it's about impact, it's for sure early. I mean, the most advanced country is Montenegro, and has penalized its first round of strategy in December 2024. So I mean, now there are investment in place, so there's no chance to have let's say a clear understanding yet on impact. With regards to effectiveness is a bit tricky words, meaning that for sure there have been some let's say new interventions that have been introduced. For instance, if you want to consider the governance, let's say, discourse, Montenegro and other countries have, let's say, introduced new organizational institutional setting, enhancing coordination among ministries, for instance, or ensuring the, let's say, an effective dialogue with stakeholders. So in these regards, we have let's say, already some good results in the region, and of course also in at European level. Well, please consider that in the 9th cohesion report for the next season of structural fund, smart specialization for EU enlargement countries is identified as a good training in preparation for the governance that will be required for the management of structural funds. So, I mean, that smart specialization is a good, let's say, is an effective instrument for strengthening the governance of innovation. We have, let's say, good results and experience at European level, and also in the EU enlargement region. It's a bit more tricky to understand, let's say, the impact of smart specialization, because of course it's difficult to separate it also from, let's say, other relevant policies, innovation policies, or innovation, let's say, policy paradigm. So, but I mean, at the moment we are quite confident it's a strong instrument with regards to, let's say, what can lead to the governance of innovation.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. We now have one more raised hand. I don't know, Branka, it was answered for you? Good.
Yes, thank you very much.
Then Miroslav, I would give the floor to you.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be together with you again. Thank you for the presentation and great discussion. My question goes into the direction of the current situation worldwide, I would say. Traditionally, Western Balkan is known that it's slowly adjusting its policies, its economic situation, and so on. We are witnessing now geopolitical changes and geoeconomic changes daily. What can we do at the level of Western Balkan region with the help from the outside to speed up our changes? Some of these smart specialization strategies are prepared 2-3 years ago, some of them even more than that. Some of them are in the process of preparation, usually not taking into account those fast changes. So what can we do to speed up and make those documents more relevant in the current situation? Thank you.
Who of the speaker would like to address this meta question? Emanuele, will you go first?
Yeah, sure, no problem. Well, thanks for your question. Indeed, in one of my final remarks, I mentioned very quickly, I have to say very quickly, that we are facing very uncertain and complex times. And the uncertainty, for instance, they not only for instance for the war in Ukraine, or for the tension in the energy supply, but also for more recently in the tariff war and disruption of value chains. You are perfectly right, and I do agree 100% with you on this. I believe that smart specialization and let's say the ongoing dimension of the stakeholder dialogues, the fact that is a paradigm that actually aim at let's say collecting data and engaging with relevant stakeholders in order to understand if the policies being implemented are relevant, are effective, or if they have to be changed. This is a key part of smart specialization. We hadn't the time to go in detail. In our implementation framework, there is a pillar specifically dedicated to refinement of policy mix. And we believe that, of course, the stakeholder dialogue must be properly informed. It's difficult to timely collect data. We are, let's say, working in the context of scarcity of data, of difficulties, as we saw also in alignment classification, different classifications of data, and so I mean it's indeed a relevant challenge, but we believe that the only response doable, available, and feasible is to talk with people, talk with investors, talk with relevant stakeholders, to rely on, let's say, on evidences, if not quantitative evidence, qualitative evidences, and to, let's say, to engage with the partnership, a public-private partnership in, let's say, decision-making process. smart specialization can contribute to this critical, let's say, challenge.
Maybe I could just add, I can just add that in my opinion, the key issue is about the limited financial resources to implement smart specialization strategies in the Western Balkans. If we see a European Union, they have access to structural funds to implement their regional smart specialization strategies. On the other side, Western Balkans, they're struggling to provide financial resources to implement it effectively. So this is something that should be considered. And according to our previous research, actually we need some kind of regional fund that would be dedicated to support implementation of the smart specializations in the region. That would definitely increase the level of implementation.
In order to keep with the time, I would give the last word to Sanja and then close with from my side. So Sanja.
Thank you so much. I expected Elke you will cut now because I will try to be short. I have a comment. I want to align with what Miroslav said. I think there are two problems for the Western Balkan. One from inside and the other one from outside. When we adopted smart specialization strategy in Montenegro, I was Minister of Science at that time from 2016-2020. We tried to become part of S3 thematic platforms, and we had a problem. And apparently my view is that EU countries think probably downgrade so much capacities of our region. We really try hard to be part of the thematic platform, two thematic platforms, agri-food and energy, and we did not succeed. And this is, I think, problem one. And problem two is that there is no cultural regional cooperation in the Western Balkan. And I think this is really a lecture which we need to learn. And I give you an example. We had a proposal for really flagship of S3, pan-European project, one which had the chance to be part of S3 roadmap, which is now working on Eric C's project, which is the most modern cancer therapy and research infrastructure, and is still in shadow. It had a very big boost. And my plea is, since we have here so many people who can really push Western Balkan to cooperate, let's really cooperate. And also from maybe to JRC help us that EU really see a big capacity in the Western Balkan region, which already exists. So I hope I was short. Thanks.
The pleas for regional cooperation are always welcome. Victor, I guess you go into the same direction, and a closing word from your side.
Thank you very much, Elke. I will try to be very short. I fully agree with what Sanja mentioned, what Lazar mentioned. Yes, from one side, we are on the inner levels, we are doing a lot. I mean, as economists, to improve the things. In our case, we are in the process of transformation of our RDI ecosystem. We are in the process of different kind of support for the future development of innovation fund, science fund, and so on. We would like to improve a lot our innovation research ecosystem with the future development of science parks, regional innovation hubs, and so on and so on. But I think we still need to be a kind of on the top of the priorities of EU in the coming years, not to be on the reserve list of the priorities of the EU. And from that perspective, really we expect more investment in the future through different channels. Lazar mentioned some of them, but really to be prioritized for the coming years to see that European Commission positively measure what we are trying to and what we achieved, what we succeed to manage in our own cases. Thank you very much, and thanks a lot for this opportunity to discuss these topics today.
I join in with the thank yous. I want to thank the stakeholders from the Danube Region Strategy and PA7 in particular. I want to thank the European Commission because they fund this Policy Answers project that powers this Western Balkan Info Hub that has been mentioned, and also in particular the Joint Research Center as part of the Commission and Emanuele as the individual that we presented here today. I want to invite you particularly to visit the Western Balkans Info Hub, where we have a theme on smart specialization strategy as well, and we collect news documents also there. So please visit our website. We are a Danube strategy flagship, so you'll find also this kind of information and more. And last but not least, we're closing, I think, also in the chat with a link to invite you to the next webinar. It is focusing on EU partnerships as an instrument. And we are having a speaker from TÜBİTAK to learn about the approach that Turkey is going for in relation to this instrument of the EU partnerships. With this, I would happily end this webinar. Thank you very much for staying with us. And you find the presentation on the website on these event links. And we're looking forward to welcome you to the next webinar again. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.